Good evening, folks. Hope you're all doing well. I've got a little experiment going here. I think it's going to work well, and it'll allow me to do something that I've been wanting to do at times as I've been going through this series, which is kind of draw. And I think that there's certain things that we haven't been able to really do if we're not, you know, making diagrams. And typing is great. Talking to the computer is great, but now that we're trying to think about how the software that we've written so far needs to be factored, I figure we're starting to lose track of all of the different moving parts that are here. One thing I was thinking that we could do is go through some of the somewhat complicated stuff that we've made. Uh, I wouldn't say it's totally complicated, but I'm hoping that this session will help us continue to figure out what's going on with packs. Uh, Here, let's see. And how we should factor them so that they're at the appropriate city level, rig level, etc. And how we might want to restructure all the things that we've made so that they make more sense. So, as a reminder, we are making puzzles. We've created a bunch of different agents that are puzzle makers, you could say, and take parts in certain puzzle making workflow. And we have some associated formulas that go with them that have been kind of, you could say, namespaced to a particular agent that's supposed to do them. And then I guess the point of all of this is that not only are we trying to invent specialized agents and the workflows and tools that they're going to have, but we're also trying to route work to the appropriate agent with the idea that if a new piece of work comes in, or we create a project, that it'll be easy to figure out who it's supposed to get farmed out to, what are going to be their places in this project, and can we automate as much of this workflow as possible and only surface things to me, the human, or even up to the mayor perhaps, that need some extra special cognition to figure out or are not previously covered. And the overarching goal that we have here, using this puzzle project as kind of it's not exactly a toy, I wouldn't say, but as a concrete example of how we intend to put all of these ideas about organizing a company into practice. Uh, we should be able to take this and replicate it easily for any domain of interest. That's the overarching goal. And the way that we're going to get there, I think, is by first factoring out all of our what's part of our sort of practical application, our puzzle project, and what's the sort of generic part that we want to hand off to anybody. And so far, we've been coming up with a few different patterns that are sort of happening up at the city level, or perhaps get farmed out to all of the different experts as a little aspect or something like that. There are things that are really specific to each individual expert. There are overarching workflows that might include other workflows. And we have also some workflows that every agent is going to be expected to do, like decide whether or not to accept work. And if they reject work because they're not supposed to work on it, uh, explain why and bump that back up for further routing or perhaps escalation. That's sort of the big idea. So let's start trying to figure out what all we have got. So I'm going to I'll have this sort of in the background on my end, but I'll try and draw up as much of it as I think we need. Um, Here it is, a little Android tablet with some drawing area. I'll probably want to make this a little bit thicker, I guess. Let's see, how do you do that again? It'll come to me. Opacity up, luminance, size, there we go. See. Okay, that's a little bit better, I think. So hopefully visible on the screen pretty well. So as a reminder, we're doing two kind of related activities. We've got, oh, and of course my deal is not drawing right now. Just give me a sec. You're looking at a unmoving screen. And I don't totally know how to get it to be happy consistently, but we'll try to figure it out. Okay, so when I start drawing boxes, hopefully they're just going to appear on here, and I won't have to think too hard about all that stuff. So we've got our, oh, I see that my finger is going to appear here too if I'm not careful. We've got our mayor, as you recall. We have our, well, even bigger. Let's start way up as far as we can. We've got our city, Tudor, and it has a bunch of rigs, and it has a bunch of generic stuff that maybe we'll put up at this top level. We're going to have, it has a bunch of rigs, which are, you could think of as projects, and the one that we care about the most is the puzzle one. And hopefully we'll have enough room to just this. Uh, Forgive my well, I guess I can try to write this in my lap or somewhere else that's more convenient for me. All right, let's try this. And now my webcam's not cooperating. So yeah, bear with me. Maybe my poor computer's just working too hard. Maybe it thinks I can't have both of these going at once. Let's see. Can I do it? I'm moving. The pen is moving. All right, life is good. Okay. Underneath the puzzle, we have a bunch of agents. And I won't name all of them, but we'll start with the Keeper of the Catalog, Antiquarian. And then we're going to go with the, maybe the first one that's actually building stuff, Inventor. So the Antiquarian tells us if our idea for a game design is all played out and been used. And then the Inventor takes a game concept and tries to write a minimal rule set that will turn that into a puzzle. And then down the line, we've got future guys who try to implement that puzzle engine in JavaScript, try to write solvers, that kind of stuff, try to refactor our code, all kinds of things. Attached to this antiquarian are some formulas. And the main one that we think of for antiquarian, besides, well, I guess there's sort of two that we care about the most. We have this catalog ingestion, which means it goes out on the internet to sources of 2D pencil puzzles. And then it brings them into my catalog so that we have a sort of idea of what are the rules, what are some techniques you can use to solve these puzzles, where is it from, who to credit, and then what is the underlying mathematical formalism, you could say. Because a lot of things are about 2D planarity or making graphs or counting something. Having no repeats, no duplicates. Yeah, lots of things like that. And then you could also say that there's maybe an oracle, that after you've ingested something into the catalog, you should want to go and ask questions about what's in the catalog or finding patterns, that kind of thing. Still getting the hang of all these controls. The inventor is very similar. The inventor wants to design things and revise them. So taking an initial cut is subtly different from revising. We found that out the other day when we tried to get the the inventor to update a design based on, Hmm, it's still happening. maybe my maybe my webcam and my pad are fighting. If we had to have one, I think the webcam's probably most important, or not the most important right now. But we really got to have the tablet going for this to make any sense. So let's just hide the webcam for now. Um, all right, and I'm keeping an eye on this because this is all kind of new. The capture card's new, connecting it to the tablet's new. So yeah, just bear with me. Okay, and so these right here, these are formulas. So here we have some, I guess we'll do some other labeling here. We've got some agents down here. We've got some formulas right here. And notice how they're really specific to the rig, right? The particular rig that we picked. Or maybe I should put this like this, right? This is all kind of in its own box. Outside of this box, um, nobody's ever going to care about how we did our puzzle company, right? About what agents are inside it or how they operate. It's not that interesting, right? Say that you're working on, a restaurant management application. None of this is going to apply or be interesting to you, except in perhaps the most abstract way possible. All right, so let's continue. The other, here we go. The other thing that we have up here at this generic level, we've got our mayor, of course. It's an agent. And it does kind of whatever. But I'll temper this in a little bit. We've also got our concierge, which is a new guy that we've kind of conceived as knowing the list of agents. So kind of, you could say pointing to this rig a little bit. It knows the yellow pages, or I could show this again real fast. Over on the left here, we've got the list of all of the agents and the different things they do. So it knows, because it's up at the city level, and because of the way that Gas City structures its agents, all the agents are visible to all of the rigs, and the concierge, in order to direct work appropriately, needs to know about all of the capabilities that are available in the city. And so it owns this yellow pages, right? It cares about the agent because it has this kind of directory. And the mayor, for instance, can ask, hey, who is the one who does the catalog thing again? Or do we have somebody in the puzzles who goes through and, does the UI stuff? And the concierge would look it up in the directory and they'd say, oh, yeah, we have one called presenter over in the puzzle rig that, incidentally, this has a name too, I forgot. So this is right, incremental. Remember the name of this rig? Not super clever, but oh yeah, and you can't see that, of course, either. Me drawing on the pad while the computer's in the way. All right, so and yeah, and so it would look it up, and then the mayor would sling that kind of work to that kind of person, but not just sling it. It would, once it gets there, the presenter would say, "Is this work really for me? Does it fall under my charter?" And if so, it would accept it and start working on it. And if not, then it would reject it and cause it to be routed again. The idea we're kind of going for there is that I don't want to have to speak in code to get work done. As a human, just considering things from a customer point of view or working in a problem space, I much prefer a world where I just say what I want, and then between the mayor and the concierge, they figure out who's actually supposed to go and do that. And with luck, I'll be able to stay high level, and the details and the automation and the many cycles are just going to get done by the workflows and things that we've set up ahead of time. That's the big goal. Okay, let's return to our diagram a little bit. So we have this concierge, and it is basically doing the, who is who kind of stuff. And I don't think that there's a formula for that offhand. Let me double check, but I don't think so. I'm reading through. There is one. It's called Route to Department. And we could go through some of those. So you can kind of see how we've got this bridge, right, in between the generic world of the mayor and me. I'm up here somewhere, you know. And then we've got the concierge routing stuff to the department, kind of the bridge or gateway into those sort of different, you could say, agent resources. Yeah. The other thing that is up here, right, is the mayor also has a special. Here, maybe I can. Oh, there we go. No? I really thought that would turn on eraser. Okay. Let's amend this picture a little bit to include the one of the mayor's only workflows so far. Onboard department. And I think we've talked in the past about what a department is. A department is a charter, a set of capabilities, a set of institutional memory or notes. And I think there's one more about. I shouldn't have to guess. I should just go look at one. I'm just looking at presenter right now. The agent prompt, of course. Yeah, I think that pretty much does it. And so let's see. Yeah, depending on where the what the prompt says or what the department definition or charter is, those notes might be somewhere else on disk, like in the repo, creating artifacts somewhere, that kind of thing. But with the intention that the agents aren't just supposed to be doing the work as they're ordered, but from time to time expanding their idea of what their work is, keeping track of lessons learned. If you go through many, many cycles, then you should be picking up patterns and trying to learn things from that. So this is sort of what a department is. And when we onboard a department, we ask the mayor to set up all of this stuff with the intention that when the agent is trying to answer this, shall I accept work? So this is one that all of them have. Uh, this is that sort of aspect-oriented thing I was talking about. Accept work. So there is this sort of interplay in between route to department and accept work, right? The concierge tries to route something to the appropriate resolver, and potentially there's overlap between the words that are being used in the request or characteristic signature that could lead you to believe, if you were routing, that one department or another was supposed to take care of this job. And you could be right or wrong, But the most important thing is that the department should decide for itself if it recognizes that this is the kind of work that it wants to do, and then it should go and do it. It just was bugging me. I'm the kind of person that I'll write it slowly and rewrite it. uh, Still worse. Uh, Here we go. I don't think you could see all of that rewriting. Again, I'll have to work out the kinks next time. Okay, beautiful. Um, all right, so we have this interplay back and forth between route to department and accepting work. All of the agents are supposed to decide, using their charter and capabilities, whether or not they can accept this work. And if they do accept the work, then they're expected to not only fulfill the task, but also take notes of anything interesting that happened along the way. So that next time we have an idea, um, not just from the request point of view, whatever language I used or the mayor used, or maybe some other department used, but also in the format of the expert, right? Like, what was this actually about? Let's correlate what was asked for and what we actually delivered. Let's bring our experience to bear and write our solution for this in our own terms, right? Because the request is coming in through a sort of interface, and then it's resolved in a sort of implementation, if you want. All right. I think we're just about there. Uh, we've got all of our moving pieces. We got some generic things. We've got this bridge between the rig and the city, and we're just about ready to start talking about packs, right? We have packs at the rig level potentially, and we've got packs at the city level, and we've got formulas and we've got agents. And the funny thing, I drew this in a certain way to make you believe that the agents are underneath puzzle. Because in my mind, yeah, they are very specific to that particular job. And uh, regardless of where they're set up, they're really only intended for this purpose. And right now, inside of Gas City, they're getting splayed across the city level, right? They're all up here in the same room milling around. When ideally, for me, I'd be able to say, no, 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 these agents are actually defined way down in the rig level, and there is certain amounts of like rig level configuration, and there are certain rules about that, about which set of configuration is going to get used or which properties will be used. Um, but we don't have a really clean separation between things that are happening at the city, things that cut across a rig, and things that are happening down inside of the rig level that really are only for that. Um, I guess we were sort of proposing too at one point. I think this was like yesterday, the day before, that they all want Oracle. Oracle is a very common thing to want from an agent. Um, each agent has its own knowledge base, it has its own charter and its own lessons learned. And if you want specific information about that, or you want to ask them how to do something, then you're basically consulting the oracle of its expertise and asking questions about its knowledge. We did set up some other agents that kind of fit this bill. Those were, you know, so we made one for beads, BD Oracle. We made one for Gas City itself, Gas City Oracle. These oracles, the knowledge base that they were intended to govern was the actual source code for beads and the source code for Gas City. And if the mayor wanted to learn how to do something inside of beads or Gas City, instead of guessing or doing stupid stuff with the command line tools at hand, you should just go ask this guy. This guy should just quickly look through its source code and return a response. The mayor should read its mail, learn what it needs to learn, and then continue on its way. But then we started noticing that there were certain times when we wanted to start asking those kinds of questions from our specific agents, like tell me how you set up a solver. We might ask the play tester, for instance. Um, analyst. Analyst is the one that actually does the computational solving. Tell me how you come up with good heuristics. Play tester. Or if I and the mayor are discussing something, I think this happened the other day, and I say, oh, well, um, there's notable techniques inside of the catalog for these Nikori puzzles. That seems like a lesson for the playtester. They could go and look for notable techniques, and then they might be able to derive some notable techniques by looking at similar puzzles and seeing if they have notable techniques and seeing if those apply to the new puzzle. And it was like, oh yeah, I shouldn't make that a memory for the mayor. That should be living inside of the playtester knowledge base. And so there's lots of like knowledge flying around, and we're trying to organize it so that the right person becomes specialized in that knowledge. I say person. The right agent becomes specialized in that knowledge. Um, and we're working off of the theory that over time, this is a sort of happy loop, right? That not only are we doing jobs and, but trying over and over again, but slowly getting better at these jobs. And we're taking as a metaphor, the human organizations that I've worked inside of, the engineering organizations. Cool. All right. So, what do and don't packs do for us in this sense, right? So we've got we could turn each one of these agents into a member of a pack, right? We'd like to have so looking at all of this, what do we want? We want, rig level configuration. Which, so far so good. There is like a kernel of that. Here, I'm doing it again. Who knew we'd have all these technical difficulties tonight? Not me. Things we want. Rig level configuration. We'd like to have some encapsulation and separation of concerns. We started talking too about the versioning system the other day. Version tree. That. And what we were alluding to there is that we do have a sort of schema version on the city itself. Tudor, our gas city, has a version number, but it's not made up. It doesn't tree out to all of the versions of all of the things that are made inside of it. And it seems like you would want to understand that. You'd want to be able to um, version a city in terms of the different packs, agents, formulas, all of those things that are included. And that for the most part, you don't just want to have like you make a tiny tweak to the city and then you publish a new version number. Instead, you would want to be tweaking the things that the city is made out of. Like maybe you'd tweak the version of the antiquarian and publish a new version of that and incorporate that into the city. Um, and that would mean that not only could these agents vary independently, but you could keep track of, say, a changing version of one without having to change everything else. It might mean that if somebody else really wants to do puzzles, they can take those agents. If somebody really wants this concierge routing, they could do that. If somebody wants the accept work and oracle type aspects, they could do that. This is sort of like cross agent composition. We did look a little bit about formula composition. Um, Man, this thing is just not cooperating. Maybe Steam is getting no. I think it's Windows that's getting confused about it. Um, Cross agent composition, and so this would be like features like Oracle or accepting work, and we have to kind of deal with this sort of overlap between an agent that offers a certain feature and this notion of departments that have certain requirements and artifacts, right? Requirements and artifacts. And I can see already that it's uh I'll just write it for a little bit longer and I'll put up the final picture. Requirements and artifacts for departments. And then we need to have this sort of like interplay, right, between uh, cross agent composition. I said aspects. I keep saying that. Um, an aspect being like a mix-in that we want to give to many different agents. That is sort of a standalone feature. And then we've got this sort of this big combination has something to do with like uh, if all of these people understand how to, the mayor understands how to onboard departments, the concierge understands how to route them using formulas, and all of these agents know what to do when they're routed work and they know how to accept work or reject it. For all of that to be true at once, you kind of need to have these agents like optionally implement or extend the interfaces that go along with departments. So some kind of, I think, mix-ins maybe might be a way to put it. If we had all of that, then it would be pretty obvious where to put all of the pieces. And the reason I say that it's a problem now is that here, let's see if I can make it cooperate by. We're just trying all kinds of different things to. Okay, great. This is the final picture I want to leave you with. I think that it shouldn't be so hard for us to try and build our directory. It shouldn't be so hard for us to try and separate out things into individual namespaces instead of the global namespace. It shouldn't be so hard for us to associate formulas to particular agents. Um, it shouldn't be so hard for us to figure out how to sort of version all the stuff that we're doing and then build it up into appropriate looking artifacts that other people could use. But right now, it's kind of like we're doing half features inside of Gas City. And I say that without having looked at a bunch of packs or what people are doing with that. And I have some catching up to do there. And certainly we haven't looked at all of the internals of packs yet or the documentation that's in the engineering docs, that kind of thing. But you can kind of see how right now, getting all of this stuff done, we've kind of been doing all of our stuff by hand, not following all of these conventions. Maybe because the conventions are a little bit absent, but also just out of ignorance. And the rubber is really hitting the road where we want to think about um, trying to. And here, maybe I'll put this back on now. Now that I am. Here we go. Let's reactivate. I don't think this will make my diagram go away. Here we go. Okay. maybe I'll scoot over here. Yeah, right. We don't want to. We're getting to the point now where trying to add in things to our city, especially things like we were discussing the other day. My mayor started to get freaked out when I was like, "Hey, I thought I got this new mayor, and it sounds like it'll be just as good as you and do everything that you can." It started wigging out a little bit. I thought that was funny, but it I think that it raised a real concern, which is something like, "Hey, if you bring in a new mayor, won't it wipe out all of this stuff that I learned?" I learned that I how to onboard departments. I learned to talk to the concierge. I learned to talk to the oracles when I need some help. And you're gonna throw away all of that work from all of those sessions. It was sort of a very passive aggressive, perhaps shady, you know, certainly interesting feeling. Yeah, funniest conversation I think I've had with the Gas City mayor yet. Um, but the real concern is something like, say that I do want to bring in a bunch of packs and bring in a bunch of rolls and things, especially from like such a commonly used pack such as Gastown. How will the features in Gastown interact or overlap with the features in this sort of proto pack that we're working on? Will we be able to make them play nice? And is there anything that in the system that will help us to do that in an organized fashion, in a structured way? Or are we kind of hoping for best intentions and going like, oh yeah, the mayor, it knows about polecats, but it will only use those for specific tasks, and it will route things to our puzzle guys who are the best in the biz or whatever. Or maybe it uses a different set of conventions for like long lived sessions, which I think it does. It uses like the notion of crew, right? And these agents that I made for specialty purposes in the puzzle rig are kind of like the crew of the puzzle rig. Um, and that's a weird way to talk about it as well, I think, right? Like we're sort of mixing metaphors in a way, because I think the crew are like functionalized specialists inside of Gas City, and they could go work on the same kinds of tasks across multiple rigs. And because in this puzzle rig, we're kind of focused on knowledge and the knowledge base. Um, we're trying to create like an institutional memory. Um, that means that they don't have cross-cutting concerns with other product domains, right? Like, you know, banking or social media or whatever, right? All they care about is puzzles, and only puzzles care about them. Okay, cool. All right, with all of this stuff in mind, this is the picture I'm going to, take a screenshot of, try and save for now. And the reason I'm trying to save it for the future is that hopefully we'll be working our way through the documents and trying to get this picture concrete inside of our packs. Um, using packs as they're intended, or perhaps proposing changes if we find that they don't do all the things that we feel like we need to do. But yeah, if we can get these 6 wants out of them, I think I'll be pretty happy. But it may be that we'll come into more difficulties, and we'll just have to wait and see. Cool. So I think that's all I really wanted to go over tonight. Sorry we're not doing more programming with the mayor, but I expect to get back to that tomorrow, and hopefully we'll have you along for the ride. So yeah, with that said, I hope you all have a good night, and we'll see you soon.